I'm Mandy Yarkich from Creative Matters, and you're listening to Creative Matters on Air, where I have conversations with new and established artists from around New Zealand. I love to listen to artists' stories and learn about their creative process, and maybe you do too, which is why I've made this podcast, to inspire, inform and educate. I hope you can take away something positive and encouraging from each of these amazing stories to help you on your own creative journey. Welcome to Creative Matters episode 20. Thank you so much for listening. Today I'm talking to Gabriella Williams. Gabriella is an artist living in Auckland, New Zealand. She has a super interesting story which I'm sure will be really inspiring to many of you, as despite living amongst creative people when she was younger, trying out creative ventures over the years and having a creative career in education, it's only now in her 50s her passion for art has been unleashed and she has developed her own art practice and now finally thinks of herself as an artist. Her paintings often respond to the skies, sea and land of a favourite place, Muriwai Beach, that's northwest of Auckland, where she spent many happy times as a young adult. She is drawn to beautiful things, shapes and patterns, and often recreates them in another form or medium. You can see her beautiful work on her blog, which is on our website, creativematters.co.nz, and you can check out her work on her Instagram page, Gabriella Williams Art, which I've linked to on her blog. Welcome to Creative Matters on Air, Gabriella.
Thank you, Mandy. It's nice to be here.
It's so good to have you, and I guess we should have full disclosure here and let people know that we are friends and our children are married.
Yes.
And we have just had our first grandbaby together.
Yes.
Rocky.
Yeah, and he's very beautiful.
He certainly is. So
it's a bit special.
Yeah, and we're very lucky to be friends and grannies together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your story, even though we've known each other for some time. There's lots of things I don't know about you. And, I think it's going to be so interesting to work out how you got to that point in your 50s where you were ready to make work and then, do so well with it and become so successful.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Cool. So let's start from the beginning. Where were you born, and can you tell us something about your childhood?
I was born in Sicily, in a place called Cefalù. It's quite a long love story, so I'm going to be as brief as I can. My mum and her first husband, Bob Rocky, who's also a very famous New Zealand cartoonist and scientist, they were living in Italy at the time, and he's the one that I actually call Dad. So just for future, the rest of the story, it might be important to know.
Future reference.
And while we were living there, my older sister and two older brothers had been born, and my mum fell in love with, I think he was the landlord of the house that Mum and Dad were living in. So I was born, and that happened.
That's a great story. I think that could be turned into a novel, perhaps.
I know. It's a pretty lovely story.
Yeah.
And they were very in love, but back in the day, it wasn't really what was sort of done. And so my grandparents living in New Zealand at the time never knew anything about me. And then my mum, between them decided that I was going to be adopted out. So sadly, I did go to another family for probably about 8 months. And during that time, my Dad actually got polio and ended up very sick in hospital. Mum came back to New Zealand with my brothers and sister. And it wasn't till they got home that my mum had pretty much had a breakdown. And also my older sister sort of spilled the beans and told my grandparents that we left our baby behind. So that was me. So
wow.
And then Mum actually sort of fell apart, I think, and
As you would.
Yeah, and the doctor that she sort of spoke to said, well, you've got to get your baby back. So my birth father, who I call Beppe, he sort of negotiated with the family that had me, and after quite a lot of rigmarole and him selling a whole property to pay them off to get me back.
Wow.
And Dad had to put his name on my birth certificate to get me home. And I came back at about 9 months old to Mum and to my brothers and sisters. Obviously their marriage had split up, but they got me back, and it was pretty lovely romance. A lot more to it than that, but because that's not the story we're telling now. So yeah, 9 months. So then we grew up in Parramatta in Wellington, and Mum, we were surrounded by very creative people, friends of Mum's. She was great friends with Sam Hunt, the poet, and Alistair and Meg Campbell, 2 other poets. So lots of writers, Jack Lazenby, and Robin White, the painter, and Don Binney. And so all those sort of people, I think, had quite an influence. Perhaps I didn't realise it at the time, but now looking back, I think actually they were really important to who I am and what I am. And also my childhood was amazing. I mean, we grew up in Parramatta till I was 8. And our life was very, we were really creative kids, because back in the day, you would go off in the beginning of the day and not come back till dark. And I know other people have mentioned that, kids born in that era. And we'd create games all day, every day, and played really well as kids. There was no tablets and phones, and we just went off and did our thing. And so I think that was quite a beautiful childhood. You know, I believed in fairies as a little girl, and my brothers would make me wee moss huts, and just we climbed trees, and we had a really beautiful childhood actually. And yeah, Mum's friends were really important to us and to her, and yeah.
That's really interesting. And you said your Kiwi dad was a cartoonist.
Yeah, he's still alive, and he's still creating at 89, I think he is. And
wow.
And he is incredible. He's written lots of books and published
did
many.
He encourage you?
Yeah, he's been, that's why I wanted to differentiate. I've had 3 dads, and you'll get to know them all. But he's been really inspirational, because he's an incredibly clever man, always on the go for doing a new project, and I'm sure that's part of it for me. He never, held back, and so he's published lots of books. He's had an award of merit for his cartooning and his science. And so, yeah, he's always been amazingly, supportive of everything
and
like that.
Creative.
And creative, yeah. And perhaps not supportive in a sense, but a creative and ongoing creation, like at 89 still doing things.
Yeah, and
still
that would have
writing.
been inspiring
Oh,
to you.
amazing.
Yeah.
We're just incredibly proud of him.
And was your mum like that? Was she
Mum was,
creative?
Mum had a different sort of creativity. She had a Bachelor of Arts. She was very creative. English. She wrote a lot, and reading back on her letters, I've got lots of her old letters when we lived in Sicily and things. She wrote really incredibly beautifully. Wherever we lived was always really aesthetic. Like, she had beautiful art and beautiful objects around, and she was creative in lots of ways in the kitchen. She was an amazing cook, in the garden. And whenever we were on holidays and things, she always painted and sketched where we were. And same as my dad, actually, in Sicily, was a good painter as well. So, yeah, she did. And her mum was a great potter. Amazing. Our grandmother, she was always remember her as a child when we were little, going to visit her at Kawakawa Bay. And she'd be in the underneath the basement. She had a big old wheel, and always beautiful things in creation.
Wow.
And my aunt, actually Mum's sister's the same. She's an amazing potter as well. So yeah, we've had a lot of it.
You were really surrounded with all sorts of creativity.
Special.
Yeah, which is beautiful. So where did you go to school at high school? Is it you've moved out then to Northwest?
We moved from Parramatta into Wellington. When I was 8, my mum remarried my stepfather Richard, so that's the third dad.
Right.
So I only had 3, but they're all very important. And so we moved into a place called Northland in Wellington, and so I went to Wellington Girls High School, and from there I studied art at high school. My favourite subjects probably were English and art. Loved writing, loved all aspects of art. Everything else wasn't terribly important to me at the time, but I did work really hard on those. And then when I was 16, we had a bit of a tragedy. I lost my first boyfriend was killed, and soon after that, we actually moved from Wellington up to Auckland. So I ended up doing, it was a really rough year, but I ended up doing what would be the equivalent now, Form 6. It would be year 11, I think.
Year 12.
Did year 12. I did that correspondence, living at Muriwai. We moved out there. I mean, we had a brief live at Oriri Point while my parents were looking to buy some land and for future fostering. But in the end, we actually moved out to Muriwai Road, and they bought 11 acres. And so I grew up there and did that year of high school. I worked part-time at a restaurant called La Cava in the city, and loved that, and loved the music because they always had live music at night, and they had homemade jam, which was the Top Twins, what used to be called that years ago, and so they played, and so I started out with the first sort of jobs I was doing, and then grape picking, and then I got into early childhood when I'd finished my schooling. So, yeah.
And you studied to be an early childhood teacher then?
I did my, I did it long-windedly. I've got a diploma and a higher diploma, and then did a degree. And so again, I think my artwork took off a little bit then at Teachers College. I was allowed to do some obviously there were papers you had to do, but then I had some choice, and I chose to do some art papers. And that, I didn't think at the time that they were great, but when looking back at my art now that I'd produced then, they're actually quite lovely. And sort of surprised myself. I did really well at the papers because it was something I loved.
Yeah.
You know.
And you were obviously naturally gifted in that area, but you hadn't really explored the gift at that point, I guess. Yeah.
I enjoyed the actual development of the art plans and things for kids because that was a passion of mine. Was I wanted to show the joy of art to little people, and I was amazed at how well they could do things that you'd think were impossible, but actually giving them the process, they produced some really beautiful artwork. So I loved that part of it, and did quite well at that.
And teaching is a very creative job, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got a passion for it, usually you can do it well.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. So you're teaching at kindy. So how many years have you been a kindergarten teacher?
Well, I was first in actual daycare centre in Mount Eden for years, and then about 14 years. And then we moved out to, so I was flatting with my now husband. Oh, first I was flatting with girlfriends and things. And then my husband and I moved out to Waimalku. So back out this way, which was really lovely. So close to family. And so then I started teaching, where I'm still teaching, which is really quite lovely to think.
Yeah, that is incredible. That's Kumu
Village Kindergarten, which is a very special place.
Yeah, and it's the people working there, I'd say, that make it so special.
Yeah, I mean, I had another place, and I want to mention this because actually Eden Epsom Daycare Centre is what I used to run. And I had the very similar creative, great group of women I worked with then. And we have the same sort of vibe out here with that have a passion for teaching.
Yeah.
And so I'm really enjoying the that journey still, which
and
is
you've
great.
got an amazing reputation in the community. So many kids have gone through your kindy and know Mrs. Williams.
Yes. It's pretty special when you bump into these big adults that you've taught and they remember you fondly. That's
and you've
how
been
you want
there
it to be.
20...
I've been there 25 years now, I think. Yeah.
That is incredible.
And I still love it.
Yeah. You're a great teacher. And as you say, you bring so much creativity, as do the other teachers at that centre. It's amazing what you do with the little ones.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I love it.
So through that, coming from Wellington, moving up here when you were a younger adult, and apart from the actual work that you did when you were training to be a teacher and teaching, were you actually doing anything on your own, making art sort of for yourself?
Well, I've always sort of made cards. I've never really bought cards. I've always made my own. So I guess, and I think that's like a lot of people that are creative, but that don't really have an outlet other than that. And I'd get my kids' artworks and I'd make them into cards. And I always had lots, I'd had lots of little projects on the go like that, cards and things. I've always created quite an aesthetic house too. I like I said, like you said at the beginning, I like beautiful things around me that tell stories. So everything in my house tells a bit of a story, of my life. They've come from all over the world or different galleries or so I guess I love that sort of thing. I love beautiful objects and
were you actually painting or drawing very
not
much?
Really, not at that stage, no. I think I was putting all my efforts in because I've got 3 adult sons now and a grandbaby, that we do. And I think I put my time into them more, and it's not that I didn't have time for myself, but it was, I would probably take the time elsewhere, like have a boogie board or it wasn't to create. It's really,
and it's hard to create when you've got little ones sometimes. The headspace is different.
I think I just I didn't have that. Well, it was, having the time. I guess looking back at my childhood, it was having the time and the space and the freedom and to just be. And now life is getting really busy, and I guess that's what happened. And now, as my kids have got older, that's sort of almost coming back. So I've got a bit more time, even though I'm working full time teaching. I do have, the kids aren't at home now, so I've got the time when I would have been taken up with them to actually be a bit creative now. So that's been really nice.
And it feels like with you, Gabriella, you've always had that sort of creativity sitting there sort of under the surface. And now that you have the time, as you say, you're just finally kind of tapping into it.
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, unleashing this creativity, which has always been there and has come out in different aspects. But now you are focusing on, your own work and the development of that, and it's been really great to see. Yeah. So can you tell us, how that happened? What was the shift apart from the children moving away? What else encouraged you to get started?
I think probably, my mum and my grandmother both died within a year, 20 years ago or something, and I think. Wasn't then, although I did change things up a bit in my life then. There was people too that I let go, things that happened that changed my way of thinking, that I thought life is really precious and you've got to grab it by the horns and just go for it. And although it didn't happen quite that fast, sort of has been slowly coming. And I guess we're all a bit late bloomers. So how it started, I guess, was you actually, as through Creative Matters, had some adult workshops, and I put my name down, and I think I did 4, didn't I? I did painting one, printmaking, a ceramic one with Lily and you. And there was another one.
There's another sculptural.
And so each one of those really really, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and something was unleashed. So from each one of those, I created some quite interesting pieces, and I came home and I shared them with people, my kids, my husband, your beautiful daughter, my daughter-in-law, Taylor, and people were really quite sort of positive, and I was really thrilled, and I actually would loved them to have gone on those classes because they were amazing. And I produced some pieces that I'm really proud of and have even got on the wall, and that for me, I sort of knew I had it there, but I hadn't had the opportunities for a long time. And then I think I went home too after one of them and started drawing. I'd taken some photos of Muriwai just on my phone, and I started drawing because I was quite inspired after doing these classes. And it would just sit in the evenings because my husband loves telly and I'm not particularly fond of it unless there's a great movie, but I'd just sit near him so we could chat, and I'd be sketching away. I love using, at that time it was mainly different pens, black pens. I love the boldness of pens and the fine fragility of different thicknesses too you can get. So I did a lot of drawings, and then I think I might have showed one to you, and you said, "Oh, you should be selling these." And I said, "Oh, I don't know about that." But it was quite reaffirming for me, and I thought, actually, I was liking them, and then if I liked them, it seemed that other people did. It was really strange, and the ones I didn't like felt the same. So it was really quite a lovely feeling. And then I think also from there, you and I took a trip to John Botton to find art prints. And so, because you'd said, why don't you get them made into prints? So I did a bit of that, and that was a big leap of faith for me to actually branch out and do that.
Yeah. And I remember that visit, John was so great at encouraging you as well.
Yeah.
And he sort of made you feel like the work you'd made was valid and lovely, and which was great because it was very much on that sort of initial part of the journey that could have, the wrong words from somebody really could have put you off.
Absolutely, would have crushed me at that stage.
You were still gaining confidence, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, and I think after that too, I think that our lovely local art gallery, Kumu Art Centre, and lovely Jago and Yvonne, they've been amazing. So they have little exhibitions every so often, and they had one coming up. And I think, again, you said to me, you should put something in. And I thought, oh, I don't know about that. But I did. And I think there was either 5 or 3 that you're allowed. And out of them, I sold 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5. I've done a few now, but those are what got me going. And I'd sold them to people that I didn't know as well as people I did know.
Yeah.
And that for me was the final thing. I thought, oh my gosh, actually other people like these too, not just my friends. They're not just being polite, So I think that for me was a really great feeling. So I love that hub of that community gallery. And so I try to support them a lot, and I try to enter things quite regularly.
And what do you love about the community gallery idea or sort of concept?
I love that everybody can be part of it, that everyone's quite brave in it. Like everyone's feeling similar to me, I think. And, well, obviously there are people that are a bit more sort of been in it a bit long, a bit longer than me. But I'm sure they feel a little bit like that as well. But I love how they're so supportive, like amazing. So Jago and Yvonne something I did was my first solo exhibition, which was just before COVID, and they were incredible. Jago helped me design my flyers, and I took the day off to help them set it up. They just were incredible. I can't say enough about them.
And very supportive.
Oh, so supportive.
But that's incredible that you had a solo exhibition. What's that, after painting for how many years?
Yeah.
2 years.
Probably 2 or 3 or 4. And
Which
actually did
That's
incredibly
brave.
well.
Yeah.
And it was one of my highlights of my life, I think, is that I did, I think I had 20, I can't remember exactly how many pieces, 27 pieces, some originals and my Muriwai series. And yeah, I had a really beautiful opening where my son Ben, one of my twins, he played guitar with his friend Charlie, and it was just beautiful, and all my boys attended. I need to do a little plug that my kids are really creative as well, actually. So Sam's a tattooist, my eldest, and he's incredibly creative. And Joe used to go to, what were they called, classes for cartooning, and he's an amazing drawer too, and I'm sure Ben can, but Ben's actually a great musician, so is Sam. So I think we've got this going on, and they've always had opportunities, and I've tried to give them those because I think that's what kids need. They need time and space and opportunities to do these things, which
and
I feel like we did,
and to be creative.
And encouragement that absolutely give it a go, And so, so that was really exciting for me, my exhibition.
That's actually massive. I mean, as I said in the beginning, you only started your practice in your 50s, and then within a few years you're having a solo exhibition, which is big. I mean, how did you get brave enough to actually have that whole exhibition?
Well, I think it was the support I had. I've had so much support from the likes of you, Mandy, thank you, and your lovely Taylor, who was always helping me on the way, always reassuring me, yes, these are great, and helping me with things that like setting up my Instagram and things that were tricky for me, and my business cards, and now I'm actually okay at things like that, but she was amazing. And having the support of my husband, Paul, he's been amazingly helpful on that journey, and the kids, Sam, Ben and Joe, but the community too, like actually friends and the gallery and people saying, yeah, absolutely. And I just thought, well, look, I've been selling little bits here and there in the gallery. I think I'm just going to do this. What have I got to lose? And actually, I can't remember how many I sold, but I think 15 in that.
Wow.
And for me, that was like amazing.
That's huge. Yeah, for anybody. But that, I think it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people, people who are on the same page as you, and people you can learn from and be inspired by and sort of supported when you're on a new journey, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Learning, taking all those skills from people and just sort of supporting you along the way. It was amazing.
And you've always been really good at, asking questions and talking to people you trust about, getting advice and, to help you with your learning, which is great too, I think.
Absolutely. Well, you don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah.
And, that's been really helpful for me. Yeah.
So would you say maybe, for people who don't know your work, although you can see it on your work on your blog, but can you maybe talk about your painting series to start with and describe what they look like and part of the process for making those?
I think a lot of my Muriwai series sort of is probably a bit influenced by the likes of Don Binney and Robin White, quite bold, strong line. I love line, and they're quite abstract, but then in some of them, there's quite a lot of detail. I love, in those, there's some lovely blues and greens too. I love the bold colours, not too, I quite like, they're quite simplistic, some of them, but very bold, very.
And still, the colours you used seem sort of in keeping with reality in a way, but you've also kind of take them to another level. Yeah. But you're not sort of going super crazy with the colour palette.
Yeah. No, they are. You're right, actually. Yeah. And I use a range of black pens for those, from very fine to quite bold for different thickness. I love that. I love the look of that. And most of those, the prints, they are a basic colour palette, like mainly blues and greens. But then when I started doing these in acrylic, because what I love about these is they give me an opportunity to revisit them in a different medium. So each print, perhaps, of ink drawing, I've then replicated or revisited, if you like, in acrylic. And they're actually loving that. And I've done it on different wood. And in my exhibition, I had them boxed with lovely boxed-in frames, and it really looked effective.
It really does.
So, yeah, I've branched out from just black and white to black and white with a bit of colour to quite colour, a lot of colour in my acrylic paintings, which I'm really enjoying.
And you were painting on and drawing on paper?
Yeah, nice quality paper, to start with. And then of course I'd get them done into a limited edition print.
Yeah.
Only I think because I find it hard to think of selling something and not having it. I actually felt sad. Yeah, I felt really sad when I sold my original of my Gannet, which is probably my favourite piece. And fortunately for me, a really good friend, Leslie, bought it. And so I know it's at Muriwai. And so I can see it whenever I like. But that, for me, to let go of originals is quite hard.
Yeah.
But
so do you keep those at all?
I do for my drawings. I've got all the original drawings.
And then you sell the prints.
Yeah. But with my paintings, I do get prints made of my paintings as well. Because once again, I actually don't like getting rid of the whole thing. But this way, somebody gets an original and then you can still have a print, and they come up beautiful on white paper.
Yeah, they do.
I love the white. That John Botton's quality is just beautiful.
Yeah, he's great and he's so helpful. And it was, I remember going back to that meeting with him where, it's so overwhelming for a new artist to make work and then to know about, what's my edition going to be, and what kind of paper and what size and how many, and it is quite daunting, isn't it, and overwhelming. But I think, for people listening who are on that journey, it's really just about going to someone like John at Fine Art Print Art. To get that support. And, he's very good at giving you time and advising and, that
he's
kind of
actually
thing.
Amazing.
But it is overwhelming, isn't it, when you go down that road of getting prints made?
Absolutely. And it's been a learning journey. So I'm always texting him or ringing him saying, help, I need another one, or I need this bigger or smaller, or not so bright, and he's amazing. And he knows me well now because I've been going to him for a long time, and every new piece I get imaged because I don't want to let go of any of them. So, and the proofs are actually quite precious. I've learnt since, and I have a Robin White proof, and it's very precious, and I love that.
Yeah.
So proofs are also your first one off the press, and they're really lovely.
Yeah.
So,
and they're worth keeping as well.
Yeah, they are,
aren't they?
Yeah, and actually, I felt another part of the journey was that John Botton, also asked if I would be happy to have my work on his website because he's got a sale. I've forgotten the name of it off the top of my head, but if you do look at Fine Art Prints, they've got a website and my work's on there too. So that was quite an honour. I felt quite thrilled about that. And also, gradually, I've exhibited in other things since.
Yeah, well, we'll come to that in a second. So, just back to the painting. Can you talk to us about that? The process of putting images of your paintings onto wood.
Yeah, I've been using mainly acrylic, and I obviously gesso up the bottom, the wood. I've got a friend who's a builder who'd get me big slabs of MDF or something, but and then it's a layer process for me. Often I'd often start. Well, I learnt to start with the back, not to do it in blocks. Like I've started with backgrounds and sort of work my way up. And so I think about what would be important to be in the foreground, and so the sky obviously in the background comes up first. I think you might have even covered this in your painting workshop with us, and so it's a layered thing for me, and then I seal it at the end with a special spray, and I do any fine work last, at the top.
The details.
Yeah, the details.
And so you do that kind of thing where you actually paint onto wood.
Yeah.
But then also, have you also done worked with somebody who's put images of paintings
recently, yes.
onto a type of wood?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
so
it's quite interesting.
Now I know what you're saying. So I just suddenly thought I'd love to see my work done on a different medium. And when the Leap of Faith Muriwai Arts came up, I thought I would try something on birch. And so I found a place called Talk Digital, which, and I got in touch. I actually think I put it out on the community page looking for someone that knew where I could do this, because John Botton doesn't do it on wood at this stage. And I didn't want to do it on canvas. I thought it would look nicer on wood. And so another leap of faith for me. I took a whole lot of images and sat and worked it out with him. It took quite a few visits to get it right. And so I think I put on a big 2.4 by 1200 sheet of birch, Elite it's called. And then I put a whole lot of my images onto that. And they came up looking beautiful.
They really
I was really thrilled. They don't need framing, which is a lovely less cost for me and for people. And they've just come up beautifully. The colours have come up well with the grain behind it. So it's a whole new look.
Yeah, it's quite different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm really thrilled with that. And then I get the picture framing locally. I've forgotten their name too, but that's okay. And they do Akumu picture framing. They put hooks and things on the back, and they hang beautifully. And they
That's
just
great.
they look lovely.
Yeah. And I mean, when you think about it, you've been making for a total of 6 years, and you've already sort of explored different mediums, different media, and I've noticed that you also explored different types of tools, and so you seem quite experimental. So let's just talk about some of the other things that you've created, and then we'll talk a bit more about your process.
Yeah.
So I know that you are quite interested in patterns, and you notice patterns and crockery and that kind of thing. And like me, you have a love for retro crockery and that kind of thing. So can you talk us through that side of your practice? Yeah,
so another series I've started, which is lovely, it will never quite be finished because there'll always be more crockery, is my plate series. So I love, like you said, I love detail and pattern and shape. And so I started a series called my plate series, which is just often takes a small part of an image, and I just draw it in my style, or enlarge it and take just a little piece of it. So, and some of them I've painted, some of them I've done onto birch as well as the paper.
And that was just with black?
Just with black, and some I've added a little bit of colour. And they are coming up really quite beautifully as well.
It's very striking, the black ink on the birch.
Yeah.
It's almost quite oriental.
Yeah, it is.
Looking.
Well, I did that. Well, the plate series I've done in circular wood cut, so that's quite nice too. But and what I love about it is that people will recognise, they'll think, oh, I recognise that. That looks a bit like a dish I used to have when I was a child. And so that's what I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the journey of discovery for people as they see them, but also it's part of my life,
And where do you find the actual plates that you use? Are they part of your own collection?
Yeah, some are part of my own, and I look in op shops and take photos. But I also have an eclectic dinner set, as you know, because that started after meeting you. I love that. It's a great way to have a dinner set with no chips. You just replace each plate with a lovely antique plate.
For $6 or
yeah. Or 50 cents sometimes. So I just take a little piece of that and portray it in my view. And that's been another neat journey. And it's like the Muriwai series is never going to be finished because there'll always be another photo that I can draw from my photos, same as the crockery.
Yeah.
And so that's
Which is
been
quite
great.
nice, isn't it, in a way that you don't feel like you're exhausting all your ideas.
And I don't have to find new work. It's like revisiting the drawings into acrylic. there's always a way of
reinterpreting
redoing it. Yeah, that's quite cool.
And the nice thing about the crockery and the landscapes in a way is that, for somebody who's still learning and developing and experimenting, even though you've already done so well, but you're still at the beginning of your journey, it's quite a good starting point, isn't it? Having something that you can then sort of recreate in your own way, but you've got that kind of just the inspiration and the support from something that you've seen. I think is helpful to know where to take it, and then you take it to your own place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, what I've realized about myself is that I look at things differently. I've always looked at things in a very I love life way. That's me. But in the last few years, I look at everything differently. I think when I'm out somewhere, I think, oh my God, look at the shadow of that on the ground, or look at the colour of those, or look at the patterns that's made. Or when we're travelling by car, I'll say, oh my God, look at those hills out there. They're great for painting. So I look at things differently.
Yeah.
And that gives me inspiration.
That's right. And so many people, who've I've spoken to on the podcast have said the same thing. Yeah. I think as you're making and creating, you just notice things more.
Yeah, it's really strange.
I
look at things quite differently, and I love every part of life. And often there's not enough time in the day for me. I'm that active relaxer girl. I am.
Person.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think there's always room for me to grow. I'm often thinking that I'd like to do a botanical series as well, and I think that might be something I look at some stage too.
And you've done a bit of that, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah. I have done a little bit, but often they were on the plates too. So yeah. But I would love to do that as well. Yeah,
and that would be with ink and paint.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I've sort of branched out lately.
So you're doing some sculptural work as well?
Yeah, well, I did some collage recently, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
I was thinking about the plates.
Oh.
The platters.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the platters? So they've been used using palm husks, is that right?
Yeah, queen palm.
Queen palm, which we have a lot in New Zealand, around where we live. But can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So... again, looking at things differently, I saw some pods of the queen palms. I think I was at my brother's, and I thought, oh my God, that's a beautiful shape. And then I saw them a lot more around. They're very similar to nikau palms, and everyone thinks, oh, I've got lots of them you can have, but they're not. They're from a specific tree called a queen palm, and I use the husks for a beautiful sort of... like a salad bowl, and I use the pods, seed pods, as platters or trays. But what's lovely about these is that I look at each piece raw off the tree, and I look at it with a huge sense of, oh my gosh, I can create this, that, and this out of this, because I see potential for them, and they're very... I can make anything from a little garlic holder for your windowsill to a big platter for a whole feast, or a fruit sort of platter, or a little one for cheese and crackers. And they're really beautiful to work with.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. And we'll put some on your blog.
Yeah,
photos.
Lovely. Yeah.
But, I have one, just looking at my one now, it's the most gorgeous curving shape with the lines underneath.
Yeah.
And then it's still got lines on top, but that's got the... stain on it, hasn't it? So it's darker on top. Yeah. So how did you figure out, how to make what you wanted to, what you had in your mind?
The first one I made is on our table at home, because you can just use them for stones and shells and things. I did it slightly differently. I cut it with a handsaw at that stage, and then I just roughly sanded it and polyurethaned it. Now, it's lovely, but it's nothing to what I'm making now, because I actually spoke to a friend of my brother's who makes beautiful guitars out of nikau palms.
Oh, wow.
And they are stunning. And he gave me a bit of feedback about what to use. So I use a Danish wood oil, Harlem Danish oil it's called. And I have a jigsaw now, so I don't need to hand cut. and I for the pods anyway, and so I cut them to shape. I have them in stages everywhere at home, and then I sand, and so I sand once, then a coat of the oil, which I then rub in, and then I sand again when they're dry, and then paint on the oil, and then do this 3 times. So it's quite a process. It's a lot of work, but I have all my own tools now, which is exciting. So it's not like doing it by hand.
Yeah.
In fact, I just bought a good mask, so I've got a proper mask now, so I don't get dusty.
And do you sand or file the edges?
Yeah, I do. All the edges are smoothed off. Yeah, so it's quite a lot of work. I sand the whole thing all over, particularly around the edges, and I give them a lovely shape. Like, the lines again of those, there's something about the lines on them. There's a beautiful grain in the actual wood, and underneath the pod part's got a lovely line. So I often go with those lines, and I just look at a piece and I think, that would look lovely curved this way. And but what would the use of it be? So I think of a few things going through my head when I'm making them. What purpose, because I want, and will they balance? And and so far so good. They've come up beautifully. I haven't had any that I haven't liked. And again, I'm a bit weird about selling them, but they sell really easily.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit sad about each one that goes. I think, oh no, that one's gone.
You get a bit attached.
Yeah, it's so weird. But
and it's a beautiful process that you go through, from spotting them on the trees or being gifted them from people, which is lovely.
That's the thing. Half the community know that I collect them, and I either find some on my front lawn waiting for me, or I get texts from someone saying, Gabriella, I've got a whole lot of those pods you want. And so, or I'll suddenly see them, especially outside the Kumu testing station. They have the trees there. They're always dropping them. And so I fly around there in the mornings, and people are probably thinking, who's that crazy lady in her gym gear going into, or whatever, on my way to work, and I pick them up. But our house is, our laundry is a sort of different stages of development. There are some uncut outside, some cut to shape but not sanded, and then I stamp them also with my logo, which Taylor helped me create. My GMW stamp, which goes on just to personalise them.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. But I'm Gabriella,
really happy
you're
with
really
them.
Clever, and you've had a couple of market days, down at Muriwai and other places, and they've literally sold out, haven't they?
No, they've been really successful.
Yeah, and people love them. Yeah. And I love the way you've got all the platters on the table, maybe 30 or 40, and people spend time really selecting the one that speaks to them, which is quite beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Yeah.
And
because they're all such different shapes and feels, aren't they?
I think they're good, and I think I price them really well too. I want people to have them, and I think that's the thing. You
do and you don't.
You do and you don't. No, exactly. But I am really pleased with them. I'm really enjoying them. They're quite a lot of labour intensive, but again, people have been really supportive of that journey as well.
Oh, they're beautiful. And I think, all the way through, you are making work that people really are drawn to and respond to, which is very gratifying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exciting. And being part of your the Muriwai Arts was another opening for them too, actually, and my art. So that's been lovely too.
Yeah, and that's, so not only are you working with the local community gallery, but you're doing a local show. Muriwai Arts is a biannual show that we put on at the Muriwai Surf Club and have about 60 local artists showing their work. So, it's great to be involved in that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that was my second just recently. And in actual fact, my first one was a bit of I was a bit nervous about it. But again, I did really well, and I thought, people actually are liking this work. And so this particular one, I put in some prints and some of my pods and trays, and I had a really good success.
Yeah, it was great. And you're starting to branch out. So you've done a little bit of collage.
Yeah.
And sort of different shapes and that kind of thing. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think that the inspiration from I've got a recent piece of art that was a collage which I did on a big, large circle. And it's called Colourful Life. And I think that sort of says all about my life, because my life's been quite I feel very fortunate in my life. Yes, I've had some hard times, but I've had a really full, rich, colourful life. And this particular piece I've just done was a collage, which I again got done as a print, and it's come up beautifully. And I love the clean cut of circular colour on a white background. Something quite beautiful about that. And then again, I did that on to birch with no background, and it actually looks different again.
Yeah.
So
lovely.
I'm branching out, and I'm quite loving that.
Yeah. And would you say that your inspiration comes from just something that you see that sort of sets you down another path? Because, in the time that you've been making, you actually have made lots of different things.
Yeah.
And lots of different styles in a way, although they all kind of connect, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the starting point for you?
I think I will see, like with Muriwai, it was just because it's a special place for me. I started taking the photos and started drawing. But it sort of was initiated really by your classes, got me going again. I do have to give you the credit there, Mandy.
Well, thank you.
No,
I think
I really do.
It was all ready to go. I just
unleashed,
helped you over the edge.
Yeah. But so for me, that was huge. And then also, I think doing these classes as one of your educators for Creative Matters, that sort of made me think that I don't want to limit myself. So we were doing a circular piece in one of the classes, and I thought, I quite like that. I like that idea. And so one of the ones that I was creating alongside the kids in the class was one that I've actually had printed, and I love it. And I thought, I'm going to try these different things. So for me, putting myself out of my comfort zone, but seeing ideas from other areas like art classes, like other artists, just
exposing yourself to different opportunities and different things. Yeah, and you're pretty brave in that way, I think. That sometimes you're slightly out of your comfort zone, but you kind of go there.
Yes.
So, I think your story is really interesting, like I said at the beginning, and especially quite sort of encouraging, I'd say, to people who are thinking about or wanting to be creative but haven't quite sort of figured out what they're going to do or how they're going to do it. Would you have any advice for people in that position?
I think just if you want to do it, actually just go for it. And it's because I came to a place where I was ready. And so if you're ready and you're feeling that, then you're obviously ready. But show it to people that you are close to, that you trust. Surround yourselves by people that are a little bit like-minded. I think that's the thing. Being involved in the community art gallery, the Muriwai Arts, with you, with Taylor, with all these creative people, with my kids, I think just surround yourself by people that will help you on that journey, like will actually support you and guide you, because if you're keen, then it's going to work. You just got to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm definitely a late bloomer, but somebody said to me the other day, why did you wait so long? And I said, well, it was really not the right time. Obviously, the time was right now.
Yeah.
I've taken it all and I've done some really creative things. And in my 50s, I've started to do art and singing and all these strange things.
And music.
But music's great too, And
but I'd say everything in your life has sort of led up to this. It's not like it's a sort of random thing that suddenly happened.
No, that's how I feel too. It's meant to be now.
Yeah. And sometimes the universe brings you things when
absolutely.
she's ready.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool what you've managed to achieve.
Yeah.
And so, you're a practicing artist and a full-time early childhood teacher. Maybe in the future the balance might shift where you spend more time making art. Have you thought about the sort of commercial side of your art practice? And I know you don't have a website, but you do sell, every time you put your work up to sell, it does sell so well.
Yeah.
So how do you think you're going to be selling your work in the future?
I think for me, well, two things you broached on there. I think for me, I'd love to see more time for art and a little bit less teaching. I love teaching, but I want to get a bit more of a balance at some stage. But mortgages insist at the moment.
Yeah.
But I would like to, my thoughts are perhaps, get some support from like you or Taylor to help me with a website. I think that's a good move. But I also have this idea that I now have no child in the sleep out, so that's now my studio. And so I would love to see myself, which I am planning to do, like an open studio. And so just put it out there. I think I'll get some sort of banner made, put it out there on the community page that I'm going to do this and go for it because I've got nothing to lose. And I'll keep taking part in the galleries. I guess that's something I need to say to people who are thinking of doing this too. If there's an opportunity at the local gallery to put a piece of work in, I'm just going backtracking a bit. Don't miss out on that. Do that because that's how I got going. Put yourself out there because that's a really good starting point.
And that can lead on to other
absolutely, because that's how it started really for me. But I think I'm going to do the open studio and I'll let the community know and put it out there and see how I go.
Yeah. And do you like that idea of being, interacting with people as they interact with your work? Is that something that you enjoy?
Yeah, I love chatting with people about art. Yeah, and I'd enjoy people to come and have a look and have my trays and bowls and artwork and go from there. And what else? That's probably
that sounds great. And the website, do you see yourself selling prints off a website? I mean, you sell through Instagram at the moment?
I do through Instagram, and when I put it out there on the community page occasionally, I can see myself doing that. I think that's probably a good move.
Yeah, where you could go from here.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And doing the odd open studio or something at Muriwai Arts. Again, things like that locally. I'll keep going at the exhibitions because I think that's really...
It gives you something to aim for.
Yeah, really good
it?
fun too.
Yeah.
And I bought lots at the exhibitions myself and I love supporting locals. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. And what about the idea of, approaching other galleries? Is that something that freaks you out or something you'd like to consider?
It's something I could consider, yeah. I just have to think where.
And how.
And how. Yeah, it's, I guess, because my work is at this stage, a lot of it is based on Muriwai. Not that it really matters because some of it's so abstract that you wouldn't know at times. But yeah, maybe I could. That's a thought. We might have to discuss this further.
Absolutely. I think that's our next development, possibly.
Yeah.
And so, Gabriella, you've done so many different things already in such a short time. What can you see yourself attempting or approaching in your art practice in the future?
I think I'd like to sort of explore some other mediums and techniques. We have done a bit of lino cutting and etching and things in those adult classes, which I loved. And so I would actually like to explore them further.
And I think your work would lend itself really well to that kind of thing. It's so lineal.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I love the line work. And I'd love to try that. So I think I love the circular thing I'm doing at the moment. And I would like to perhaps think about some sort of series of life, and in the collage, like colourful life is one of mine, but to think about other moods of life in those circular images, but also definitely some sort of printmaking. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see where you take it. And I can see you sort of, for the rest of your life creating and ending up with a massive body of work because you are quite prolific. And you have lots of different amazing ideas which you make happen, which is amazing. Yeah.
I feel like, I just wanted to say, I feel like I was gifted a very special childhood. I do feel like that, with siblings who were amazingly supportive and creative themselves. And now as adults, they're like amazing musicians. My two brothers and my sisters teach, she's doing a BA at the moment, and really clever. And so I feel like I've been lucky. I feel like I've hopefully given that to my kids.
I'm sure you have.
And so, I feel like that's been, I think it's about children need opportunities. And so I feel like.
That sort of line of creativity goes all the way through, doesn't it? Through generations, hopefully. So my last question for you, young lady, is what puts fire in your belly?
Oh, well, I always told that I'm one of the most passionate people. People know that's what somebody said to me at work the other day. And I think most things do. Like, I love life. I love art and music and colour. I love my friends and my family. And so I think I'm one of these people that everything fills my belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I actually love life thoroughly. And so, but I love what's in it. So the people in it are really precious to me.
Yeah.
And exposing myself to music, every opportunity I can, I either sing or go to music. And I love beautiful places and beautiful things. And so I guess that's those sort of things. Yeah, and people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Family.
You are a very positive, passionate person, and everyone who knows you would agree. And, it's a privilege for me to have met you.
Oh.
And I'm very happy that your son decided to marry my daughter.
I'm very happy too.
And it's very special, and, that we've been on this art journey together. And I think, as I said at the beginning, I think your story is one that could really help a lot of people and give people faith that, it's never too late.
Yeah. And
the way that you've approached it has been incredible, and you've got so much out of it and so much success out of it.
Yeah.
And it's been a privilege to watch.
Thank you. Well, you've been a big part of this journey, so thank you as well. Amazingly.
Thank you,
Very
darling.
lucky.
All right.
Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.